Hong Kong has just announced that September's Legislative Council elections will be postponed by 1 year. The vote would have been Hong Kong's first since a controversial security law was brought into effect. At a press conference in the last hour, leader Carrie Lam cited the spike in coronavirus cases as the reason for the delay. But opposition lawmakers accused the government of using the outbreak to slow their pro-democracy movement. Here's what Lam had to say at that press conference.
We are going to invoke the emergency regulations ordinance in effecting the delay of the elections. And secondly, of course, the main content of the relevant bill, and the Secretary for Justice will give you some details later. And finally, we have the support of the Central People's Government in making this decision.
Well, our correspondent Phoebe Kong is following events in Hong Kong and joins us now from there. Phoebe, Carrie Lam has just announced that the upcoming elections are being delayed. What are the reactions to that?
Well, for the opposition camp, they condemns the government's decision to postpone the election for the first time in Hong Kong's history. They criticize this as creating a constitutional crisis, from their perspective. They think the government is making use of the epidemic to stop them from winning the historic majority in the parliament, which is what they have been aiming for the upcoming election originally. So they want to gain over half of the seats in the parliament, but that would be postponed right now. So, and also given the fact that many of them have been disqualified from the election, so they think this is another clamp down on the opposition movement. But on the other hand, their rivals, the pro-Beijing and pro-government politicians and candidates, welcome the government decisions where they have been lobbying for the delay, because of citing coronavirus epidemic reasons, and this is a kind of a disadvantage for them because many of their voters are elderly and elder people who may not be able to come out to vote. So this is what they actually yearn for.
Is this uptick in coronavirus infections really enough to justify moving an election back for 1 year?
Well, this time Carrie Lam is invoking the colonial emergency law to postpone the election. So she's saying that this is out of consideration of the safeguarding the public health and to deal with the public safety crisis under the emergency law. So this is controversial because this is the law itself is a piece of controversial legislation when it has been used back during the protest last year, but now the government is using it again to postpone the election. And also, the Hong Kong government is now seeking a directive from the Beijing's top legislature that they will ask the Beijing top legislature to step in to define how the parliament will be running in the coming year before the election is organized in 2021. So this will spark another political and legal controversy of it will draw criticism, possible criticism of another Beijing state intervention into Hong Kong's local affairs.
Phoebe Kong from Hong Kong, thank you.
Groups of 2. This is how you're allowed to hang out with friends in public in Hong Kong. Empty tables and chairs are seen at restaurants under the latest ban on dining in. Only takeaway orders are allowed. I agree that we should contribute to fight the virus, but it turns out we're the ones to suffer first. I feel like the government is passing the buck to us. There has been no lockdown in Hong Kong. The government is trying to keep the financial hub running by not forcing people to work from home. As a result, it could be no easy task to comply with social distancing rules, especially for blue-collar workers. Some have no choice but to finish their meals in rain or shine. The backlash has pressured the government to reverse part of the ban in only 2 days. Now, eateries can serve customers during the daytime, but only at 50% capacity.
Here in Hong Kong, wearing masks has been the common practice since the beginning of the outbreak. But now the authority is making it compulsory in both indoor and outdoor public places. Even if one is exercising in a hot and humid summer, there is no exemption.
But critics say these stringent measures are not enough to tackle the root cause. I'm afraid there will be more new waves of infection in the future if we don't shut our border.
We could do a bit better with the exemptions. We don't need people to have exemptions. We need everybody who's positive to be quarantined.
It's the most critical wave of infection ever. Health experts attribute the outbreak to quarantine exemptions, which allowed dozens of essential personnel, including sea and air crew, to cross the border freely. Now, such exemptions will be tightened, but not cancelled. Although the number is still far lower than many major cities across the world, the people of Hong Kong are concerned that it will have a wide-ranging impact, not only on public health and the economy, but also on politics